Genesis chapter 30. When Rachel saw that she gave Jacob no children, she envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children or I will die." Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in God's place who prevents you from being fruitful?" And she said, "Here is my handmaid Bilhah. Go to her and let her bear on my knees, so that I too may have sons." So she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife, and Jacob went to her. Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Rachel said, "God has done me justice. He has heard my voice and given me a son." So she named him Dan. Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, became pregnant again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel said, "I've wrestled divinely with my sister and have prevailed." And she called her name Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had ceased to bear children, she took Zilpah her handmaid and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bore Jacob a son. Leah said, "How wonderful!" And she called his name Gad. Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bore Jacob a second son. Leah said, "How happy I am!" And she called his name Asher. 14 Reuben went out at harvest time and found mandrakes in the field. Reuben went out at harvest time and found mandrakes in the field. Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." 15 And she said to her, "Is it a small thing that you have taken my husband, that you should also take my son's mandrakes?" Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." And she said to her, "Is it a small thing that you have taken my husband, that you should also take my son's mandrakes?" And Rachel said, "Well, he will sleep with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." And it came to pass in the evening, as Jacob was returning from the field, that Leah went out to meet him and said, "You shall come to me, for I have bought you for my son's mandrakes." And he slept with her that night. And God heard Leah, and she conceived, and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my wages, because I gave my handmaid to my husband," and she named him Issachar. Leah became pregnant again, and bore Jacob a sixth son. Leah said, "God has given me a great gift. This time my husband will live with me, for I have borne him 6 sons." And she called his name Zebulun. Then she bore a daughter, and called her name Dinah. And God remembered Rachel, and hearkened unto her, and made her fruitful. She conceived, and bore a son, and said, "God has taken away my reproach." And she called his name Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add another son to me." When Rachel had borne Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Let me go, that I may go to my own country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served you, and I will go, for you know what service I have done for you." Laban said to him, "May I find favor in your eyes? I can see that the Lord has blessed me for your sake. Set me your wages, and I'll give them to you." Jacob said to him, "You know how I have served you, and what has become of your flock with me. For the little you had before me has increased greatly, and the Lord has blessed you in my footsteps. Now, when will I also work for my house?" Laban said, "What shall I give you?" And Jacob answered, "You shall give me nothing. But if you will do as I say, I will feed your flock and keep it. I will go through all your flock today, set apart among the ewes every speckled and inlaid lamb and every black lamb, and among the goats everything that is inlaid and speckled. These will be my wages. My righteousness will answer for me tomorrow, when you come to see my wages. Whatever is not spotted and inlaid among the goats, and black among the lambs, it will be theft from me." Laban said, "Well, Let it be according to your word." That same day, he set aside the striped and inlaid he-goats, all the spotted and inlaid goats, all the white ones, and everything black among the ewes. He gave them into the hands of his sons. Then he put the space of 3 days' journey between him and Jacob. And Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flock. Jacob took green branches of poplar, almond and plane tree, and peeled white stripes on them, exposing the white that was on the branches. Then he placed the branches, which he had peeled, in the troughs, in the drinking troughs, before the eyes of the sheep that came to drink, so that they would come into heat when they came to drink. The ewes came into heat near the branches, and they made striped, spotted, and inlaid young. Jacob separated the lambs, and put together what was striped, and all that was black in Laban's flock. So he made himself separate flocks, which he did not join to Laban's flock. Whenever the strong ewes came into heat, Jacob placed the branches in the troughs in front of the ewes, so that they came into heat close to the branches. When the sheep were weak, he did not place them, so that the weak ones were Laban's, and the strong ones Jacob's. The man became richer and richer. He had small livestock in abundance, maids and servants, camels and donkeys.